Hey everyone, so this is going to be kind of a blog or vlog type video. Nothing special, it's going to be my first one. We'll see how it goes, and we'll just go from there. I didn't spend too much time setting this up. Right now it's just a camera, microphone in front of the computer. Nothing really major. No fancy lights set up at all whatsoever. It's just me in front of the camera, and we're just gonna see how this goes, and over time, if this does work out pretty well, I'm gonna go ahead and put more effort into it. I would say fix up my lighting, maybe change to a different shirt, maybe comb my hair a bit, I don't know, something. But yeah, so right now I'm recording with the G85. I try to put it into a live feed through HDMI into the capture device, but I don't seem to have the mini HDMI cable with me, so I gotta probably go out and get one or order one online. But that's okay. I'm just gonna record onto the SD card of the camera, and I'm recording audio straight into my PC, and then I'm just gonna match them up, fix the lighting up a bit, and then I'm gonna upload this online and see how that works. So this is, I guess, episode 1 of my quick little vlog. And when I say quick, I'm not sure how quick it's going to be. It's my first one, so it might drag on for a bit, but we'll see. All right, so let's see. What can we talk about? All right, let's talk about this. So I did put up for sale a GELID heat sink that's made for the MSI, or not the MSI, but just the AMD R9 290 GPU. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this. I'm gonna try to pull it up real quick here. All right, so this is called the GELID Solutions ICY Vision Enhancement Kit for R9 290/X. And what it is just about a 4-piece inch of aluminum with fins on it. So pretty much like a heat sink. It comes with 2 extra pieces there as well for other parts of the GPU, a couple screws and nuts, and some adhesive tape, and a thermal pad. And I did use this on my R9 290, and it was because my MSI R9 290, I did upload a video onto my other channel in regards to taking off the stock cooler that came with it and putting on your own all-in-one water cooling system. This is with the Kraken G10, and I used the Corsair H50 or 55, I believe, to attach that to the GPU processor. And I've been using it for like the longest time with the R9 290, and I overclocked that thing, and I've noticed that the VRMs were getting pretty hot, so I decided to finally go ahead and buy this little heat sink and attaching it onto the graphics card. It worked out pretty well. I mean, it wasn't too bad. The thing is that last year I did upgrade to the GTX 980 Ti, and with that I couldn't use that piece anymore, so I took it off. I put it back in the box, and always save your boxes because you never know when you'll need them. So I went ahead and I put that away. And with the 980 Ti, I took off the stock cooler. It was a reference card, by the way, on the 980. So I took off the cooler. I stuck the Kraken on there with the all-in-one water cooling system, and it's sitting in my tower right now. I usually run it on stock speeds. I don't really overclock the GPU, even though I want to. And there's been a couple of times where I've tried it, but and I get to a certain point in some games to where it crashes on me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run it at stock speeds. But if I could, I would overclock it. And right now the VRMs or the RAM chips are not being cooled at the moment. There aren't any heat sinks on them. So I was thinking about using the that GELID cooling solution, that heatsink, onto the VRMs of the 980 Ti, but I just never got around to it. I put the box away, never opened it up, and every now and then I would think about it, say, hey, I better do this weekend. It's too much time is passing by. So finally, a couple of days ago, I'm like, I'm not really doing anything. Let me just go ahead and see if it'll fit. So I went ahead and I took the side panel off the case. I lined up the heat sink to where the VRMs are located. There are 2 mounting holes on each side of the GPU, and I checked to see if it was just the right size, and it did fit. I mean, it lined up perfectly, but that heatsink wasn't over the actual VRMs. It was off by about an inch, or I'm sorry, not that's too much, about a half an inch to about 5/8 of an inch. So at the end, that pretty much answered my question, saying nope, you can't use it on this GPU. So at that point, I'm thinking, if I don't really need it, I'm just going to go ahead and sell it. There's no point in holding on to it, and maybe someone out there will be able to take advantage of it. Now, this thing was pretty expensive. I mean, it was around $20 when I bought it, and looking online right now, it's still going for about the same price. So I went and put it up for sale for about half of that, and see if someone wants to go and buy it off of me. If no one buys it, it's not a huge deal. It comes in a very small box, so I can just put it back on the shelf and just let it sit there, and maybe later on someone's gonna go ahead and buy it. But yeah, that's one thing. At that point, I was thinking, maybe I should just get some small heat sinks to put onto the VRMs and cool the GPU VRMs that way. But then I'm thinking, that the 1080 Ti just came out. I really want to get that card, but I don't know. It's like it just came out, and it's pretty expensive. About a few months ago, I was thinking about getting the 1080 because last year when the 1080 came out, it was just a huge improvement over the 980 Ti, and I'm thinking, wow, this thing's gonna be so awesome on my 1440p monitor. Right now I have it overclocked to 90 hertz from the default 60, and wouldn't it be awesome to play at that resolution with higher settings? So a few months ago I was thinking about getting it, and I asked my fiance, hey, can I go ahead and get this? And of course, it's my money. She's got her money, and for some reason, since we're in this relationship, I gotta kind of like get the permission from the other half. So I asked her, hey, can I get it? And she's like, well, if you really want to, and if you're able to afford it, sure, go right ahead, whatever makes you happy. So, for a couple of nights, I was just looking online and, seeing, should I add it to my cart or not? It was like $580 or $600 for the GPU, and I'm thinking there's information starting to go around about the 1080 Ti. Maybe you should just hold off on that. So at the end, I'm like, I'll just stick with my 980 Ti. I'm gonna go ahead and see what happens with the 1080 Ti. And 1080 Ti was announced, and the price, the launch date, and its performance, which was just so awesome. So at that point, I went ahead and I said, okay, I'm probably gonna get that instead. And of course, spending that much money on something, you're like, do I need it? Can I get it? Should I get it? That's those types of questions you ask yourself. And about the day after, well, it's funny because about a week before it came out, I went to NVIDIA's website and I went ahead and signed up to have them notify me when the card comes out, so I can go and add it to my cart and buy it straight from them. And for some reason, I never got any notifications at all from NVIDIA, which was kind of strange because the card came out and then I went onto their site and they're all sold out. So I went on to, I think the day after or a couple days afterwards. Well, at that point, Newegg.com didn't have them yet. So I went ahead and I went on to Newegg a couple days later, and I saw that it was like late at night, right before I was going to go to bed, like at maybe like 12 or 1 in the morning. I went to Newegg.com and I saw that they had them there, the 1080 Ti's reference cards, and there were like around 6 of them from different brands. And I think out of the 6, just 2 were like sold out already, but the other ones were available. So I'm thinking, should I? And it's funny because no one's really posted anything online in regards to them being on sale from a different retailer just yet. So I'm thinking, I don't know, it's a lot of money. But I'm thinking about selling. No, if I get the 1080 Ti, I want to sell my 980 Ti so I can help recover the cost, and I might sell another GPU as well. So that way it won't be too expensive on me. But so at that night I'm thinking, let me sleep on it. I'll wake up the next morning, with a refreshed mind, and I'm going to see if it's worth it or not. So I go online the next day and it's already sold out, all of them. I'm like, come on. So I was a little bit disappointed when it comes to that, or when it came to that, but it was no real big deal, because then I thought, it is a lot of money. And at that time I'm thinking, Vega hasn't come out yet. There aren't any real numbers just yet for Vega from AMD. And let's see what happens with that, because that should be coming out pretty soon. But then recently I saw an article where someone did some comparisons between processor speeds and the speed of the RAM for both GPUs. Even though Vega's not officially out yet, there's some rumors going around. And that article mentioned that the 1080 Ti still beats the Vega GPU. That the Vega is more of a competitor with the 1080. So I'm thinking, I was a little bit disappointed with that, because I'm always rooting for the underdog. When Ryzen came out, that was a huge thing for me. If I could afford it, I would build a second system for Ryzen to test it out. But just like I'm always rooting for the underdog. So when I heard about the Vega maybe not being as fast and being more of a 1080 type card, like a GTX 1080 competitor, I felt a little bit down. But then I'm thinking, if Vega comes out and it's on par with the GTX 1080, and it costs about $100 to $150 less than the 1080 at what the new prices will be for the 1080, then I'd probably go for the Vega, because Vega would still be a better card than what I'm running with right now. So I'm glad that I held off in regards to that, and I want to wait and see what happens. It might be about a few months until I decide to upgrade. Also, one other thing that came up, hasn't come up as a big surprise, but another thing is that we're going to be taking a trip over to California in about a month and a half from now, and it's going to cost us, even though we're driving, it's going to cost us some money to get out there in terms of having a place to stay. So in terms of the hotel itself, I'm going to be covering that myself for the both of us, and it's going to cost me almost $600 for the hotel, which is for a full week. I mean, this is from Sunday night until Saturday morning the next week, or 6 days from that day. Excuse me. So it's not too bad, and it's in a decent area. The hotel got pretty decent reviews as well. It's not in a bad neighborhood. So I'm glad that I kind of held off on the I'm buying another graphics card, since I'll be needing the funds or the money to go towards that. So yeah, I've talked for about 12 minutes already just on this stupid little cooler, or this heat sink for the VRMs, and that led to the new GPU. And now going into our vacation coming up in about a month and a half. And if you want to know more about that, let me go ahead and tell you some more about that vacation trip. So for her, she's from the Dakotas, or she's from the northern Midwest area, and I'm originally from California. I was raised in Southern California, and when she told me when we first got together, she told me that when she moved down to here out in Albuquerque, that she thought that everything was like so huge. It's a big city, it's way different from how it is up there. And I was telling her that it's a complete opposite for me. I mean, I moved from LA basically over to a small town, to Albuquerque, which for me it's fairly small. It's not that big at all. And it was a pretty huge change for me coming out here. But so she's never been out there to Southern California. She told me that she's been out to San Francisco one time a while back, and on her own, and got to see things up there. But she's never been to Southern California just yet. So I went ahead and so about a few years ago, I think it was in 2014. I think, or 2013, 2014. Can't remember the exact year. I have to look it up. But we went out to California. It was her first time, and it was my third time since living out here in Albuquerque. And we went out there for about 4 or so days. We flew out there, which was nice, and it was tons of fun. It was around her birthday in September, and we had a pretty good time. we flew into LAX, even though I would have preferred flying into the Burbank airport, which is a lot smaller, less people, but the cheapest tickets were to LA, and that's where we got the rental as well. And what sucked was that once we got out of the airport and got our car, it took us at least 2.5 hours to get into the San Fernando Valley. So that kind of sucked. So flying into Burbank would have been so much easier. But this time we're going to be driving. We'll be taking my car. We'll be heading out Sunday, driving throughout the day, getting there by the evening, checking in, going to sleep, waking up the next day, and start our adventure. And the reason we're taking my car is that, we don't have to pay for airfare, even though the prices for airfare isn't that high at the moment for those days. Last time I checked, with driving, you just gotta spend money on gas, and that's basically it. And just it spends more time. But I was thinking about it. For example, when we went to California last time, we left from the Albuquerque airport. We got into LAX. You got to be at this airport about an hour before your plane leaves. The trip itself is, to get to the airport is about half hour, 45 minutes. So you're looking at an hour and 45 minutes before your plane leaves. The flight itself is around an hour and 40 minutes, just a straight trip. So you're looking at 2 hours or 3.5 hours, just rounded up to about that, 3.5 hours. Once you get there, you got to wait for your luggage. That's another half an hour at least. And I'm talking about getting your luggage, getting out of the airport, and then heading towards the car rental place. So you're looking at at least an extra half an hour. So we were, that's already taken up like about 4 hours of your time. Then you got to get in the car, you got to get out of LAX, and then you got to head towards the San Fernando Valley. And like I was saying, that took us about 2.5 hours. So that by itself so from when we left the house until we were able to get into the valley where we were staying, and that's pretty much where I grew up, it was a total of 6.5 hours. And to drive out there, the average time, it's around 12 hours to get there. So it's an extra 6 hours. If traffic's good and you go a few more miles per hour than normal, you might get there maybe in 10 hours or less. But even then, that's not bad. You're taking a nice trip. You have someone, you got some company with you. So if you were going by yourself, then it'd probably be a bit of a nightmare. But having someone there with you to keep you company makes it a lot more fun. We're gonna stop by the crater, the meteor crater in Arizona. So we're gonna take a quick stop there so she can see it. She hasn't seen it before, and there's stuff to see as you go along the way. And I've taken a trip out there by car one or two times I think, and it wasn't too bad. I think it's gonna be worth it. You're spending an extra 6 hours at the most going by car, but you're spending so much less money, so that's a good thing. People think, hey, I'm just going to fly out to California. It's going to be a lot less time. It's only an hour and 40 minutes to get from here to LA. But you got to take into account the time before of getting ready, of getting to the airport, and then the time after of leaving the airport. Now, if we would have found a real awesome deal to fly into Burbank, then we would have just done that and rented a car. Well, that's the other thing. With cost, you're only paying for gas to drive out to California, but then once you're out there, you got a car to drive around in. Otherwise, if you flew, you got to go ahead and you got to rent your own car, which it's even if it's $15 per day, that still adds up, plus the gas for that car. I'm just gonna stick with what I got. We're just gonna take my car. Now, we would have driven last time when we first went out there together. We would have taken my car, but the only thing is that my car at the time was a 1994 Ford Ranger, 4-wheel drive, and it's a nice truck. It was a nice truck. On the outside it looked fantastic. The engine sounded great, but it was starting to have its problems. And last year I sold it because one day after leaving work, I turned the car on and I noticed that the coolant was leaking from underneath the car, and I started to panic a little bit. I went ahead and I had a friend drive me up to like an auto parts place and pick up some coolant. We went back to work, filled it up, filled the truck up with it, and I went home, and that's when I decided that it's time to sell the car, because you never know when something might happen to it. And I've already done some repairs on it, not maintenance. Well, along with the maintenance work, I've done repairs on it, not myself, but I paid to have it done. And I would say that over the time of owning it, I've probably put a couple of $2,000-3,000 into it, and I bought the truck for about $4,000, so total about $7,000 worth of what I spent on the truck itself. Which, if I put any more money, I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it or not. So that's when I decided to go ahead and sell it. So I put it up on Craigslist a few days later, and that's why we didn't take the truck out to California, even though I would have wanted to. Gas wouldn't have been a big deal, but I was just afraid of getting stranded out there and not having a way back, or if it does, if you do get back, it's going to get so expensive. So that's one reason why we flew. And also, her car at the time wasn't the greatest either. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Want to be taking my car. I bought a brand new car last year. It's a Chevy Sonic. It runs great. Gas is good on it, and it should be good for the both of us. Well, right now the battery light is flashing on the camera, so it's gonna die pretty soon, and my throat is getting dry. That's where it ends. Well, the camera shut down, but I'm still here on the mic. So I hope that was entertaining. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys, or at least have me playing in the background while you guys are doing something. That would be pretty fun as well. I don't know what else to say. I think it's about time that we cut it, right? We're looking at about 20-something minutes. I might do some slight editing to bring it down to about 20, but we'll see. I guess I don't want to drag it on too long. Time is money, right? So until next time, which I'm not sure when that will be. I'm not sure if this is going to be a normal scheduled thing, or if I'm going to scrap this and just redo another one tomorrow, or maybe later today. Who knows? But we'll see. Until next time. In the meantime, thanks for watching and listening. Thank you for... Well, I already said that. So let me start again. My throat is... I'm about to start coughing if I don't drink something quick, and I don't have anything with me at the moment. But thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. Take care and have a great day.